I want to ask you, General Bipin Rawat would have been your junior by many years, but as they say, an officer and a gentleman that he was. How do you remember your interactions with General Bipin Rawat?
Good evening, Navika. Firstly, I must say that yesterday was a very sad day when the Armed Forces family, they lost their serving head of the family. And indeed, a sad day for everyone, both retired as well as serving people. And I would like to pay my homage to General Mrs. Rawat's family, also of the other soldiers whom we lost yesterday, both from the Army as well as from the Air Force. Well, Bipin was a major, when I became the chief. And I'm talking of 1997, 98. He was about to become a lieutenant colonel at that time. And I didn't see him very much during my service earlier. But then subsequently, as he rose in the ranks, one kept hearing about him, kept seeing him also. And I would say that one of the extremely grounded persons, risen from the ground, as they say. His father was in the army, retired as a deputy chief of the army staff. And so he rose from that most capable man, starting from his sword of honor when he passed out from the IMA, and then continued to rise and continued to acquaint himself, I would say professionally, one of the outstanding officers. And when I met him later on, he told me, he says, "Sir, you don't know much about me, but I know everything about you." And I have been, that was his remark when he met me, when he became the chief. Of course, I had congratulated him earlier and I had mentioned it. So that was his first sentence when he spoke to me after he became the chief. And an outstanding military leader, I would say, professionally very competent, impeccable as far as his soldierly qualities are concerned. He could interact very easily and very competently from a Sipahi to our senior political leaders also. That was the range. Very articulate, believed in something, and then he followed it up. I mean, I found him a very determined soldier. So many times you would have seen he's been criticized also, but that never ruffled him. Absolutely. He continued to follow and continued to pursue what he thought was the right thing to do. So I would say that we got him as an army chief and then subsequently as a CDS at a very right time when India wanted to implement the reforms that we had been seeking for last decades together. And he was the right person for that. I found him the absolutely right person for that, because these are difficult reforms that we are now looking for. Integration, jointmanship, you have to carry your Army, Navy, Air Force teams together, you have to carry your civilian colleagues together, and you have to carry the politicians together. Implementation is always more difficult than just planning. We may have been planning for these reforms, but the fact is that when it comes to implementation, then you know the difficulty, the glitches that they take place. There are some people who challenge you for whatever you want to do, etc. But he kept his aim quite clear. He was pursuing whatever he was mandated to do. And he was, I would say, pursuing it very, very competently. In addition to that, I can also mention that last 2 years that we have seen him as a CDS, he has led the armed forces team very well, whether it was confrontation with Pakistan, we carried out those Balakot strike as well as the surgical strike, or in a pandemic period when all the three first services had to work together and help the civil administration, or China. He had a role in all these things, and he carried the team of the Army, Navy, and Air Force very, very competently. It's very unfortunate that we have lost him at a crucial time when the reforms are still going on. We have a lot more work to do as far as reforms are concerned. And so it's going to be a little difficult, I would say, for anybody who now fits in his, or he gets into his shoes.